Now, anybody who thinks that we can move this economy forward with just a few folks at the top doing well, hoping that it's going to trickle down to working people who are running faster and faster just to keep up, you'll never see it. If that's what you're waiting for, you should stop waiting, because it's never happened in our history. That's not how America was built. It wasn't built with a bunch of folks at the top doing well and everybody else scrambling. We didn't become the most prosperous country in the world just by rewarding greed and recklessness. We didn't come this far by letting the special interests run wild. We didn't do it just by gambling and chasing pay-for-profits on Wall Street. We built this country by making things, by producing goods we could sell. We did it with sweat and effort and innovation. We did it on the assembly line and at the construction site. We did it by investing in the people who built this country from the ground up, the workers, middle-class families, small business owners. We outworked folks, and we outeducated folks, and we outcompeted everybody else. That's how we built America. In Milwaukee, that's what we're going to do again. That's been at the heart of what we've been doing over these last 20 months. Building our economy on a new foundation so that our middle class doesn't just survive this crisis. I want it to thrive. I want it to be stronger than it was before. And over the last 2 years, that's meant taking on some powerful interests. Some powerful interests who had been dominating the agenda in Washington for a very long time, and they're not always happy with me. They talk about me like a dog. That's not in my prepared remarks. It's just, but it's true. You know, that's why we passed financial reform, to provide new accountability and tough oversight of Wall Street. Stopping credit card companies from gouging you with hidden fees and unfair rate hikes. Ending taxpayer bailouts of Wall Street once and for all. They're not happy with it, but it was the right thing to do. That's why we eliminated tens of billions of dollars in wasteful taxpayer subsidies, handouts, to the big banks that were providing student loans. We took that money, tens of billions of dollars, and we're going to go to make sure that your kids and your grandkids can get student loans and grants at a cheap rate and afford a college education. They're not happy with it, but it was the right thing to do. Yes, we're using those savings to put a college education within reach for working families. That's why we passed health insurance reform, to make coverage affordable. Reform that ends the indignity of insurance companies jacking up your premiums at will, denying you coverage just because you get sick. Reform that gives you control, gives you the ability, if your child is sick, to be able to get an affordable insurance plan, making sure they can't drop it. That's why we're making it easier for workers to save for retirement, with new ways of saving your tax refunds, a simpler system for enrolling in plans like 401ks, and fighting to strengthen Social Security for the future. And if everybody is still talking about privatizing Social Security, they need to be clear. It will not happen on my watch. Not when I'm President of the United States of America. That's why we've given tax cuts, except we give them to folks who need them. We've given them to small business owners. We've given them to clean energy companies. We've cut taxes for 95% of working Americans, just like I promised you during the campaign. You all got a tax cut. And instead of giving tax breaks to companies that are shipping jobs overseas, we're cutting taxes to companies that are putting our people to work right here in the United States of America. See, we want to invest in growth industries like clean energy and manufacturing. You've got leaders here in Wisconsin, Tom Barrett, Jim Doyle. They've been fighting to bring those jobs to Milwaukee, fighting to bring those jobs here to Wisconsin. I don't want to see solar panels and wind turbines and electric cars made in China. I want them made right here in the United States of America. I don't want to buy stuff from someplace else. I want to grow our exports so that we're selling to someplace else. Products that say, made in the USA. That's right. There are no better workers than American workers. I'll put my money on you any day of the week. And when the naysayers said, well, you can't save the auto industry, just go ahead and let hundreds of thousands of jobs vanish, we said we're going to stand by those workers. If the management's willing to make tough choices, if everybody's willing to come together, I'm confident that the American auto industry can compete once again. And today, that industry is on the way back. They said no, we said yes to the American worker. They're coming back. Now, let me tell you, another thing we've done is to make long overdue investments in upgrading our outdated, our inefficient national infrastructure. We're talking roads, we're talking bridges, we're talking dams, levees, but we're also talking a smart electric grid that can bring clean energy to new areas. We're talking about broadband internet so that everybody's plugged in. We're talking about high-speed rail lines required to compete in a 21st century economy. I want to get down from Milwaukee down to Chicago quick. Avoid a traffic jam. We're talking investments in tomorrow that are creating hundreds of thousands of private sector jobs right now. Because of these investments and the tens of thousands of projects they spurred all across the country, the battered construction sector actually grew last month for the first time in a very long time. But, you know, the folks here in the trades know what I'm talking about. Nearly 1 in 5 construction workers are unemployed. 1 in 5. Nobody's been hit harder than construction workers. And a lot of those folks, they had lost their jobs in manufacturing and went into construction. Now they've lost their jobs again. It doesn't do anybody any good when so many hard-working Americans have been idled for months, even years, at a time when there's so much of America that needs rebuilding. So that's why, Milwaukee, today, I am announcing a new plan for rebuilding and modernizing America's roads and rails and runways for the long term. I want America to have the best infrastructure in the world. We used to have the best infrastructure in the world. We can have it again. We are going to make it happen. Over the next 6 years, we are going to rebuild 150,000 miles of our roads. That's enough to circle the world 6 times. That's a lot of road. We're going to lay and maintain 4,000 miles of our railways, enough to stretch coast to coast. We're going to restore 150 miles of runways, and we're going to advance a next-generation air traffic control system to reduce travel time and delays for American travelers. I think everybody can agree on that. Anybody want more delays at airports? No, I didn't think so. That's not a Republican or a Democratic idea. We all want to get to where we need to go. I mean, I've got Air Force One now. It's nice. But I still remember what it was like. This is a plan that will be fully paid for. It will not add to the deficit over time. We're going to work with Congress to see to that. We want to set up an infrastructure bank to leverage federal dollars and focus on the smartest investments. We're going to continue our strategy to build a national high-speed rail network that reduces congestion and travel times and reduces harmful emissions. We want to cut waste and bureaucracy and consolidate and collapse more than 100 different programs that too often duplicate each other. So we want to change the way Washington spends your tax dollars. We want to reform a haphazard, patchwork way of doing business. We want to focus on less wasteful approaches than we've got right now. We want competition and innovation that gives us the best bang for the buck. But the bottom line is this, Milwaukee, this will not only create jobs immediately, it's also going to make our economy hum over the long haul. It's a plan that history tells us can and should attract bipartisan support. It's a plan that says, even in the aftermath of the worst recession in our lifetimes, America can still shape our own destiny. We can still move this country forward. We can still leave our children something better. We can still leave them something that lasts. So these are the things we've been working for. These are some of the victories you guys have helped us achieve. And we're not finished. We've got a lot more progress to make. And I'm confident we will. But there are some folks in Washington who see things differently. You know what I'm talking about. When it comes to just about everything we've done to strengthen our middle class, to rebuild our economy, almost every Republican in Congress says no. Even on things we usually agree on, they say no. If I said the sky was blue, they say no. If I said fish live in the sea, they'd say no. They just think it's better to score political points before an election than to solve problems. So they said no to help for small businesses, even when the small businesses said we desperately need this. That used to be their key constituency, they said. They said no. No to middle class tax cuts. They say they're for tax cuts. I say, okay, let's give tax cuts to the middle class. No. No to clean energy jobs. No to making college more affordable. No to reforming Wall Street. They're saying right now, no to cutting more taxes for small business owners and helping them get financing. I heard somebody out here was yelling, yes, we can. Remember that was our slogan? Their slogan is, no, we can't. No, 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 no. I mean, I personally think yes, we can.